Let's get educated. That's why we're here, to bring you the stories impacting K-12 classrooms and college campuses. It's time for a little education.
Hello, everyone. I am Katie Patrick, joined by David Fiorazzo.
Yes.
It's the start of the week, and we are ready to give you the goods. Are you ready, David?
Yes, we're ready.
All right, then. Get them while they're young. Of course, a Chicago Children's Hospital tests a new program that has high school students teaching sex ed to the children's. I mean, teach the children so the children can then teach the even younger children.
So who's teaching?
The children to the children.
What
all
could
about
go,
sex ed.
What could go wrong?
Nothing at all.
All right, so we are going to talk about this children's hospital that it's piloting a sex ed program where students or former students are teachers. You heard that and you're reading that correctly. Lurie Children's Hospital is testing out a sex ed program co-taught by current and recently graduated Chicago public school students. CPS. Should we just pause there, Katie, and remind people how bad the test scores are from places like Chicago public schools,
Oh, no.
Baltimore?
No, there's nothing to see here in
Detroit.
these big cities.
Okay.
Nothing to focus on education-wise or crime-wise. So instead, just a focus on the sex ed.
Yes, and yet let the current students in those failing schools do some teaching. Now, so Lurie.
I think it should be called luring. Like they are luring the children.
They are. So they're offering a variety of sex ed programs to schools in Chicago, including, ready? Gender Sexuality Alliance, GSA Workshop. That's a series covering gender affirming, in quotes, sexual communication, healthy LGBTQ relationships, anal sex, HIV, and the HIV prevention medicine prep, according to their website. This is just what they're doing. One Lurie employee asked a Chicago public school elementary school teacher in an email if her school was interested in a GSA sex ed program co-taught by youth leaders that the hospital was testing out. Katie, there's a lot of concerns here with something like this, but
just a lot. Even the way the article is worded of how the hospital is testing out the children. I mean, I know it's meant to be like, oh, the children are the ones doing the teaching, but that isn't this Brave New World? Is this not what they are doing? They are testing out the children.
Yeah.
And they're using children to coax and lure the other children into believing that, hey, as they're talking about healthy LGBTQ relationships and anal sex and HIV and all this stuff, let's just, if we have the older children teach the younger children, isn't that just like the full circle? Teaching the generations to continue on.
What could go wrong when you let the children lead the way? We're seeing part of that in our culture today where the trans movement is nonstop. But anyway, I want to quote or read something from Adam Davies. He's a youth engagement program coordinator at Lurie. And he said this in an email to John B. Murphy elementary school teacher Chira Carney. He said, I wanted to reach out to see if there would be any interest in a sex education session for the GSA at your school. Our middle school GSA sex education builds really well on the sex education students received and reviews consent and communication, safer sex methods, and HIV and PrEP. So this year, he said they're trying out a new program where the youth leaders are currently or recently graduated CPS students. They'll be the ones that are co-teaching, like we explained to you already. The youth are going to be the ones that are co-teaching this. So they are really excited that they can offer it, according to the article. And the program, they're just going to pass along this to try to get other people involved and try to get more participation.
Oh yeah. But can I look at the actual email from this Adam Davies? Because you keep saying he, and according to the actual sign
are there
off
pronouns in there?
Warmly Adam Davies, they them.
Oh, okay.
Programming coordinator for
didn't
youth
see
engagement in the sex development program and division of adolescent and young adult medicine.
I didn't see the.
See all the play on
They
words
and-
they just like to use in there.
they
That's
and
so
them.
nice. So yeah,
So that means there's more than. That means, was it he or she is more than one person then if it's they, them? I've
you
always been
got me.
confused.
Maybe attend the course and then you'll learn
I've always
from
been
it.
confused about that.
Yeah, and of course they've done already this thing, the Lurie program. Also use their youth leaders because you can't. I mean, if you got them, you got to use them in more than one
Sure.
place and way. So they gave a sex ed presentation back in May at an educational summit on diversity.
There it is.
Hosted
There it is. Diversity.
by Chicago Public Schools. Because what else are you going to do in May? Might as well have this. It was the Galaxy Summit.
Ooh, what's this about?
It was weird. It was weird.
Hola, hola, CPS students and staff. I'm Jose, my pronouns are they, he, él, and I'm from the CPS Office of Student Health and Wellness. I'm so excited to remind you that the CPS Galaxy Summit is coming up on Saturday, May 20th in person at the UIC Forum. This event is about creating affirming spaces to celebrate and learn about the diversity of our CPS community. There will be student staff-led workshops, performances, speakers, food, and many opportunities for you to connect and build community with other CPS students and staff. Friends, it's gonna be a blast. Registration is required.
Oh my goodness.
That was out of this world.
I really don't know what to say about that, but I do know that the hospital staff says that Lurie will pay $1,000 to youth leaders in HIV to cover youth travel and payment for adult staff time for the Galaxy Summit.
Yeah, they did that.
So bonus.
They did it. Look at
bonus.
that. I mean,
Incentives, Katie.
it is.
Incentives.
You talk about the Galaxy Summit, and we can't even tell how many genders there are, but we're going out to outer space, and maybe that's where all these people belong. So.
Okay, let's look at what the sex education or sexuality education program is actually. It says Ann and Robert H. Lurie Children's Hospital of Chicago's sexuality education program combines the expertise of multidisciplinary staff with a youth-centered and engaging curriculum. Our team supports thoughtful, culturally responsive, and LGBTQIA inclusive conversations as students learn about relationships, social emotional development, and their bodies. All programming is consistent with the National Sexuality Education Standards and Gender Spectrum's Principles of Gender Inclusive Puberty and Health Education. We are an approved community-based sexual health education provider with public and private schools, including Chicago Public Schools. No mention of the declining test scores. Anyway, at Chicago.
They're aligning with what the nation wants. Those
Yes.
national
Yes,
sexuality
those national
standards.
that they've lowered and lowered and lowered the bar, and yet more money doesn't seem to fix the problem, but we have to move on. Still to come, a sex guide aimed at children ages 10 to 15 is being sold in department stores. That's right, with instructions on how to perform sex acts, descriptions of gender identities, and graphic illustrations. In department stores now, we'll show you the book and tell you how one of the stores responded when parents pushed back. That's coming up.
All right, parents, this next one's a little bit more graphic than
Oh,
usual. So
boy.
if you're, that's saying a lot considering everything
What
we
we
cover.
cover?
So maybe if you're on your phone watching, let's just put on headphones. Don't let the little ears hear this one. So there's a sex guide that is aimed at children ages 10 to 15. So I guess if you're ages 10 to 15, you can just let their ears listen because this is what they're pushing. It's being sold in department stores with instructions on how to perform sex acts, descriptions of gender identities, and graphic illustrations of penises. Now, the book is called Welcome to Sex, Your No Silly Questions Guide to Sexuality, Pleasure, and Figuring It Out by Melissa Kang and Yumi Steins. And it was released in May. It was being sold in the Big W department store. And yes, that is in Australia. So you could say, oh, well, that's Australia. Well, What happens in Australia it doesn't stay in
That's
Australia.
right.
Usually Australia and Europe, they're ahead of us in the U.S. on these trends and all that, and it'll make its way over here, don't you worry. Now, the book talks about penis size with a plethora of illustrations before getting into instructions on different sex acts. And these instructions are about scissoring.
Wait a minute. Let's clarify something here. This is in department stores.
A department store, the Big W.
Available for minors, and it's pornographic material.
Yes. Oh, I'll get to the Big W's defense. Later on.
So
but
scissoring.
Yeah.
Part of me doesn't even want to know.
No. Just you can read the book if you really want to. We're not going to go into that.
Okay.
Featuring a drawing of what appears to be an amputee engaging in the scissoring act. Anyway, in addition, another heading actually read the lowdown on anal sex. And while they also include questions such as how do you finger someone, hand jobs, oral sex on a penis. These all have dedicated sections of this book. So we're going to listen a little bit to what's in it, but just not all of it, of course.
Well, let's hear from a dad who's reading this.
Welcome to Sex, a book sold at Big W and marketed towards your children. And it says so on the very first page, whether you're an apprehensive 11-year-old. The virginity myth, and as it says there, I think virginity is such an outdated concept, downplaying virginity. Porn. And of course, sexual and gender identities. They couldn't leave that one out. I'm 13 and I'm confused about my sexuality. How can anyone think they're not coming after the children after seeing books like this for sale openly in Big W? Welcome to Sex, sold at Big W and marketed towards your children.
Okay, so
our producer cut out the most graphic parts, just so you know if
we
you're
don't want to
watching
get canceled over here.
Yeah, and he's going, oh, come on, that's not that bad. Well, we had to edit a lot of stuff out.
It is.
Yeah.
And we had to see it. Now, the book, as you heard, it notes that it's appropriate for the apprehensive 11-year-olds and the curious 14-year-olds. But the author, Steins, actually wrote on her Instagram page that she would be okay with a mature 8-year-old reading the book.
Really?
Yeah, reportedly 8. A mature 8-year-old. Oh, mature.
Grooming.
Reportedly, she wrote that before you ask what age exactly, it depends where your kid is at in maturity. Roughly 10, 15-year-olds, but I'd be happy with a mature and smart 8-year-old having a flick through.
You're disgusting.
Yeah.
Not you, Katie, but the authors.
Yeah. No, but this is a grooming at its finest, if there's a finest to grooming. The younger you get them, the more normalized it is, then the less you have to, 10 years from now, will she even have to make such a comment? It'll just be expected that this book is given to the 5-year-old. You won't have to say, oh, a mature 8-year-old. It'll be because any 5-year-old will be already looking at this.
You know what? That's a really good point. You buy this, even if it's for a 17-year-old, you buy this book, they bring it home. If you've got younger brothers and sisters, if that's 17 or like 15, because it's geared to 10 to 15, let's just say the 15-year-old brings it home. Let's just say there is an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old in your home looking at this stuff. Do you think the 17-year-old is going to hide it? Probably not in today's culture.
Sharing is caring, in their words. Now, of course, Big W, the department store, had to issue their defense.
Yeah, how did they defend themselves, Katie? Are you ready?
As their spokesperson said,
Go.
Big W has a wide range of books and products that represent a diverse Australian community.
There it is.
Welcome to Sex is an educational, age-appropriate, and inclusive book featuring content from adolescent health experts that matches the development and early experiences of teens aged 12 to 15. It is shelved in parenting in our books section, so parents can make their own decisions on what is appropriate for their family. Oh, really? So because it's in this section that's still accessible to anybody?
That makes it okay.
That makes it A-okay. Now, there was some backlash reported. I can't imagine why. And the book is supposedly scheduled to be removed. It was on sale online for $16 Australian dollars, which is $10.92 US. And reviews for the book online sales now have been turned off. I can't believe it. I wonder why.
Isn't that interesting? So they're censoring the bad reviews.
I wonder why.
They're suppressing the truth. That's biblical. Suppress the truth.
Of course.
That's right. Promote evil, suppress the truth.
Well, all I gotta say is bad Australia. Now, when we come back, look up the book 1984. Have you ever heard of it? I have, because there's a parents group in Utah that just discovered that a popular kids book has quietly been edited to involve non-gendered language. We're going to show you side by side of what the publisher changed to appease the Rainbow Mafia. Stay with us.
Today's show is sponsored by our friends at MyPillow. Save up to 66% on pristine quality bedding, towels, slippers, signature pillows, and much more when you use the code EDUCATED. That's EDUCATED. Educated. Support this show and a great American company.
History is being rewritten and language is being rewritten, so our books are being rewritten. And now we have a poor narwhal out there.
A what?
A narwhal.
What's narwhal?
He's in the sea. He's kind of like a dolphin,
Okay.
but kind of like a unicorn.
Okay.
Because he's the unicorn of the sea. So he's
Okay.
like a dolphin mixed with a unicorn. Narwhal. Anyway.
Dolphinicorn.
Yes.
Okay.
He's
Narwhal.
having an existential crisis. But anyway, we have a narwhal who now has some pronoun changes. A New York Times best-selling series by Ben Clanton called The Narwhal and Jelly has some pronouns to change, apparently. Parents reported to Utah Parents United about how Narwhal, unicorn of the sea, had changed the pronoun of its main character according to the group's Facebook page. Now, let's just read the first page.
Okay.
This is Robert Morrow, school librarian from Fort Smallwood Elementary, presenting Narwhal, Unicorn of the Sea, a Narwhal and Jelly book by Ben Clanton. One day, when Narwhal was out for a swim, he found himself in new waters.
Okay.
New waters. Okay.
See? Everything seems fine.
Yep.
When he was out for a swim, he found himself in new waters.
Now, is that the
Okay.
same as the original version or what?
No, that is the original version.
That is the original version. Yeah.
But,
Uh-oh.
dun dun dun, you see there on your left, he found himself in new waters. And now, one day, went out for a swim, Narwhal found themself
Oh my goodness.
in
Really?
new waters.
Narwhal found themselves.
Yep, that's where we're at. So you can see that, and this was this just happened because that video was actually done in 2020. So the Utah Parents United found out about this, and the Utah Parents United Public Relations Director Corrine Johnson said that it is a classic bait and switch, and this is not a typo. This is the new edition, and the publisher made a decision that they were going to introduce gender ideology to the K through 3 students.
Wait.
Subtle.
Wait.
Just
Okay, so
subtle.
Is this a popular book?
Yes.
Okay, so how old are K through 3?
5 to 8.
K through 3. So 5 years old, 6 years old.
5 to
Okay.
9. I mean, they'll turn 9, but yeah, like 5 to 9.
So do you think, Katie, you have very young ones at home. Do you think they understand when you talk about a singular, in this case, a mammal, and it says instead of himself, themself? Do kids even pick up on that
No.
when they're that young?
No. My kids are so young. Like, we're going through having to be like working on pronouns. He is boy, not he is girl, like getting that worked out. The kids are just trying to figure that out and make sure. So if you get them confused by all of a sudden throwing themselves in there and saying it's he goes with boy, she goes with girl, if you throw another thing in there, they are going to be confused.
So
and that's the point.
So what's going to happen is they're going to be hearing this, not understanding it.
Yeah.
But they're hearing it, so when they get older, they'll think, "Oh, that's normal," because I've heard that since I was a kid.
What's going to be normal is having to do the whole introduction of pronouns. That's why they want you to do it, because no one, they're allowing it, I guess, for people to be whatever they want to be. So they have to say these pronouns that they make up. They make grunting noises basically, and they're going to get like ingrained into having to repeat pronouns every time they talk to someone.
They are hijacking the military slogan, be all that you can be, instead of be whatever you want to be.
Be all the things.
Be whatever you want to be.
Now, the thing about this book, Narwhal, is it's listed on the Kids Read Now's website as a book the organization sends to homes of children. And USBE reportedly released a statement per the Utah Parents United announcing that the Kids Read Now has reportedly agreed to stop the book's distribution in the state, and they have replaced it with an alternative title.
Good.
Or an alternate title.
Alternate title.
So that's a good thing. So here's some great advice, parents. Listen up. The spokesperson for the USBE said, the parental filter is needed now more than ever because of the subversive agenda to push gender ideology and gender transition on our youngest, most vulnerable students. It is the God-given and constitutionally protected rights of parents to decide when and how they expose their children to sexuality and gender ideology. Thank you. This is what needs to happen. Parents need to step up. Parents who have formed like the Utah Parents United, you have to step up. You have to call it out and get things to change. We have seen this grow steadily, in the corporate world with Target and Bud Light and all the backlashes there. But this is your children at their schools or in their, in this case, books that they read, the content that they ingest. You parents have the control over this, so you need to wake up, pay attention, and do what is right for your kids.
Amen, sister.
Thank you. Now, still to come, Disney. Speaking of corporate, Disney gets destroyed. I wonder why. After photos leak of their latest children's animation turned live action movie that appears to be filled with all kinds of the woke inclusion mandates and none of the good stuff, we're going to show you Disney's next box office bomb because it's going to bomb.
If you have a smartphone, tablet, Roku, or Apple TV, consider downloading the Freedom Project Media app. It's 100% free and includes all of our weekly shows, plus lecture series, archive programs, and award-winning animated videos for families like the Presidential Minute, Battles of America, and Heroes of the West. Don't rely on the social media giants to keep you informed. Simply download the Freedom Project Media app from your app store and allow notifications. And we'll let you know when a new video is ready.
Unlike the blockbuster Sound of Freedom with Jim Caviezel, this Disney Wocus Pocus is going to bomb at the box office. Wocus Pocus. Did you like that, Katie?
I like that. It was good.
So here's what they're doing. They're dissing Snow White. That's right. They're woking Snow White. They're remaking this movie, and it's going to star a Hispanic actress, and they're going to neuter Prince Charming, and they will be all but dwarf free. Do you see that? Now, those people in the background, they're allegedly dwarfs, but they're not dwarfs.
Yeah,
this
so
is the new.
Basically what happened, though, is these photos were leaked, okay? And it's of the production.
Okay.
And immediately, Disney's like, that's fake, that's not real, you better apologize. Oh, and then they're like, yeah, no, okay, those are actual production photos.
Okay,
Yep,
production
that's the truth. And now everyone's going wild because that's supposed to be Snow White, and that's supposed to be the Seven Dwarfs. And I think we're kind of missing part of it, like 6 dwarves. There's one.
There is one dwarf.
We're missing.
Okay.
We're missing the others.
So this goes back to 1937. That's when the original, I think, was. Did I read that right? When the original, the adapted Disney originally came out with the 19th century German fairy tale. So Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. So did they rename the title too, Katie?
They have to because
they're not dwarfs.
The fairy tale is literally called Snow White because she's white, and there are 7 dwarfs. Her skin tone is like the color of snow.
But white also means like pure.
Yeah.
Like
but it's also her
innocence.
skin tone. And it's 7 dwarfs. So now you can't say that's what this movie is. You can say Hispanic woman and the 6 average-sized people and 1 dwarf. Like, that would be a really long title, but, I mean, if you want to be accurate, you have to change it to something along those lines. It's the wokest of the woke from Disney. Wow.
She is. I don't know if you have another picture of her playing Snow White, but she looked pretty dark.
She's a Colombian actress.
Do we have another close-up, or we don't? There she is.
Rachel Zegler. Yep, she's the one who's playing Snow White, and she's probably a fine actress. I don't know. I think
sure she's a fine
been in some things recently. I don't pay attention much to Hollywood.
Here was what she said about playing Snow White. People are making these jokes about ours being the PC Snow White, where it's like, yeah, it is, because it needed that. In other words, she's all for changing it. It's an 85-year-old cartoon, and our version is a refreshing story about a young woman who has a function beyond someday my prince will come.
All right.
Katie, have a problem with this.
Ms. Rachel.
Go ahead.
Who's not Miss Rachel. If you ever seen her, she's a great lady on YouTube who teaches toddlers things. Anyway, Ms. Rachel in this case. It's not just an 85-year-old cartoon. It's a 19th century German fairy tale. Okay. And fairy tales teach you about life lessons. And if you would read the actual fairy tale, you would know that the heroes in this whole thing are the dwarves. So why are you taking out dwarves and talking about, basically, like you said, neutering Prince Charming and having this feminist, you rah rah, here comes Snow White or Snow Brown? Why don't you just make up your own flippin' storyline? I just want to
like
flip this table on them, because just come up with something new then. But the thing is, the quality, the good stories that are actually out there have been done already, and you have nothing.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do? Destroy. You can't create, you can only destroy. So that's what you're doing. You're destroying something that is good and pure for your garbage to make yourself feel like you're doing something.
So apparently Elon Musk is
who's that fella?
Comes into this conversation, but it's not maybe the way you think. He apparently liked or retweeted something that Matt Walsh shared. And here's what Matt Walsh said about it. He said, quote, "It's not just political correctness that prompts Hollywood to make white characters non-white. Snow White is now brown because the filmmakers view the character's whiteness as a flaw to be fixed. It's anti-white racism and should be called such."
Well, we can call it all day, which it is, but that doesn't exist. Just like I've heard the argument that black people can't be racist. No, every human being can be racist.
Anybody can be racist.
Everybody.
Yes. Yeah. So it wouldn't be reverse racism. It's just racism.
Yeah.
It's racism. Look up the definition of racism in Webster's, and anybody can be. So yeah, they're kind of racist against some of this content that used to be entertaining, and it just happened to have white characters. And there's a lot of things. If you've seen some of the movies and even TV series that are coming out, they're being changed now, and
everything, and
Hispanic, and, black characters. It's just interesting. Hollywood thinks this has to be done.
Yep. Well, we're done.
We're done.
So if you're a fan of the show, please do your thing there by liking, commenting, sharing if you're watching us on social media. Now, for David and myself, thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and thank you for supporting what we do. Until next time, stay educated.